All right, before we get stuck in, few house rules. We're probably going to be here together for about 60 to 90 minutes. Big session, okay? I like interaction. You all know that. So engage in the chat, okay? If you have an aha moment, if you have a breakthrough, and what I need you to do is I need you to go to the chat and I need you to do this, #blue wolf. Bit of a backstory around the blue wolf, but you don't need to know that. The reason for that is this symbolizes a donation on my behalf to our charity project, Rescue Children. Okay, so the campaign we're supporting at the moment is all about piercing children's ears. And what I'll just share my screen and I'll show you the website, just so you know. This is not out of your pocket, by the way, it is mine. Okay, so this is the charity, you can look it up. All right. Now, what that donation symbolizes is the charity we're doing, the campaign at the moment is all about piercing children's ears. Okay, because this, in terms of child sex trafficking, deems the kids no longer pure, therefore they don't get taken, stolen, and trafficked. Okay, so for every blue wolf, so that's, we have to do that, #blue wolf. If you're new around here, takes a bit to get into the groove, but just do it. That symbolizes a $10 donation, and that means 2 kids' ears get done. Okay, so that's what we're doing. That's all I ask of you. Okay, so breakthroughs are to be known. Super, super, super fucking important. Cameras on. Okay, now, thank you, Mary. Unless you've got a really fucking good idea to not have it on, i.e. Patty at work. Maybe you think you look like a troll or a hot mess, like who actually cares? The reason I asked for cameras to be on for this session is to learn, okay, which means you need to be present. And most times we're always doing 10 things at once. You know, you've got 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door, you're listening, but you're also scrolling on social media, all that type of shit. So I just need you to be present. So cameras on. Okay, there's no slides in this session. It's just me having a little heart to heart about the life stuff, personal success, and leadership. That's what this is about. Okay, so as a little disclaimer, I'll say I sit here before you, not only as, shut up, Siri, not only as your facilitator of this session, but as someone who has, you know, traveled the path of leadership, prosperity, success across many ventures, earning multiple 6 figures, trading 7 figures along the way. Okay, but before we begin, I just want to acknowledge that each and every one of you are emotionally intelligent human beings with the capacity to make thoughtful decisions. Okay, so in this space of this call, let us just embrace the understanding that all of our differences are not only welcomed, but celebrated here. Okay, I know so many of you on here, 200 and something people registered for this, so they'll get the recording. Some I don't know, some I know really well, some of my clients, some of my traders, some are brand fucking new, and that's amazing. But just know that I do swear a lot. Okay, so if you got sensitive ears, like, I don't know, block them. Okay, the other thing, I guess, is I may say things that maybe you don't agree with. Okay, you might get a little bit activated by some things, but honestly, that's your birthright as a human being. It grants us this freedom to have and hold different opinions. Okay, so once again, what I mean by that is if I say something you don't agree with, no fucking big deal, right? No need to get butthurt, right? It's more than okay. Okay, so throughout this masterclass, we're going to navigate the art of leadership. And with that comes recognizing that it's also not a fixed destination, right? But at this perpetual journey of growth and self-discovery. And so what I'm drawing from for this call tonight, it's usually an Inside the Trader's Mind session that's done around this time on Wednesday nights, but this conversation is really important. Okay, so I'm drawing from my own experiences, my own successes, and my aim, if I do my job well enough, is to share these valuable insights and to give you some practical wisdom. Okay. Any questions before we get in? I've got the chat over to the left, so if I'm looking off into the distance, That's why. All right. So with all of that, if there's no questions or anything like that, let's just kick it off. Thank you. All right. So let us just open our minds, okay, to the teachings and the wisdoms that you could gain from this. This is completely free. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm in fact doing a giveaway. Okay. And that is to the person who is the most interactive in the chat, but also who shares with me after this session the takeaways from tonight's call, what they've learned and what they plan to implement, right? And that is 2 weeks free mentoring and coaching from me every day, Monday to Friday. Okay. So for those that don't know me, there's a couple. I'm SJ. You may know my last name is Plumpton prior to getting married. Trader, co-founder of Trade House Australia and the Success Muse Coaching. Okay, that's all you really need to know for now. You'll learn more as we go. But I named this masterclass LeaderSHIFT. Right, so I want to start off by putting my little tinfoil hat on, and I want to put to you a question. Right, what is it that you wish you learned in school but didn't? Drop it in the chat for me. What did you wish you learned in school but didn't? How to adult, more critical thinking, how to invest, purpose, how to navigate taxes, finances, how to buy a house, change a tire, do my taxes. Still don't know how to change a tire. Everything, money, finances, money, tax, how to conquer emotions, how to invest in capitals, yelling at me, mindset, how to manage my emotions, self-responsibility, build awareness. Okay. Taxes, leadership, business, personal finance, mental health, psychology, invest, finances, communication skills, compound interest, life skills, self-awareness, entrepreneurship. Okay, these are all things that should be taught, but they're not. Okay, but what is the route that society teaches? What's the route? Drop it in the chat. It's go to fucking school, get good grades. Someone just wrote how to be a bot. I feel like that's today's school, but anyway, conditioning, what triangles are. Excellent. Michael Little says it best, go to uni, get a job. That's the answer I'm looking for. Let's go to school, get good grades, get high scores so you can get into uni or get a trade, then you can get a job, work until 65, retire for what, 20 years and then fucking die. Right? Mitochondria is the powerhouse cell. That's right. Also the recorder. Glad I learned the recorder. Okay, so let's think about the education system for a second. Schools are commonly seen as places that encourage learning, right? That's what they're supposed to do. But ironically, what they do, and this is also drawn from conversations I have with high school teachers and primary school teachers. I have a lot of friends that are teachers. Okay, what they do is they actually suppress our natural curiosity to learn. Okay, because they promote conformity, right? They disregard our talents, right? Our interests, our goals. Independent thinking is limited in schools because of the standardized testing, right? The standardized testing that's actually there to just measure intelligence. Study this, memorize this, test on Friday type shit. Right? The system never made sense to me. And in school, I would often question the practicality of what I was being taught. And it was only until I actually joined Trade House that I actually really started to dive into the rabbit hole of the world. And I started investigating the origins of our system, right? The origins of our current education system. And what I've come to understand is that it's actually built on purpose. Okay. John D. Rockefeller. Does anyone know who that is? If you don't, Google him later. Okay. But a long time ago, he's basically the guy that created the education system. Okay. So a long, long time ago, he quoted this: I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. Would that fucking sink in? Okay. So our education system is designed on purpose, and it's this mass education it was this ingenious machine that was constructed by industrialism to produce the kind of adults that the society that we live in need. Okay, it was designed on how to kind of pre-adapt children for the world, right? And it was the world of repetition, right? Smoke, noise, machines, crowded living conditions, collective discipline, right? A world in which was to be not regulated by the fucking sun and the moon, but by a factory whistle and a clock. Right? Who remembers primary school? Right? We'd get in line in our two little lines. We'd hold our little friend's fucking hand, and there we would march off to assembly. Right? We would then sit down in our assigned little spots, and then bells rang to announce a change of time. Who remembers that? Okay. The education system that we all went through, that's still current today, has become this anticipatory mirror, right? It's the perfect introduction to an industrial society. Isn't that interesting? Right? It's the regimentation, the lack of individualization, right? The rigid systems of seating, the grading, the marking, right? The authoritarian role of a teacher. All of these things are precisely the things that made public education so effective. Yet when people think public education, like state schools and stuff, they think, oh, the government really wants to look after me. No, they fucking don't. Right? Mass education taught basic reading, writing, right? Arithmetics, a little bit of history, some fucking Japanese, right? Ichi, san, shi, some Italian, some boopity boppy, right? I'm actually learning Italian right now because I married one, so I can throw shade on myself there. But beneath all of this mass education, it was the covert curriculum that's far more basic, right? And what that consisted of, three things: punctuality, obedience, and repetitive work. These were the basic training requirements to produce what? Reliable, productive workers. We say it all the time in trading. We're not born to be traders. People aren't born to be entrepreneurs. It's a reason this shit is not taught. Okay, now this isn't supposed to be a fucking history level. It's about personal success. Okay, it's about leadership. So I could take my little tinfoil hat off, but I'm sharing this because it's actually important. Because the system that we grew up in, the whole, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers, right? This statement, what this suggests is a preference for a society where people focus on performing tasks, right? Obeying, right? Rather than engaging in deep contemplation, questioning the status quo, disrupting the systems. Okay, the problem isn't that people are not educated, right? The problem is that people are sheltered. The problem is that people are educated just enough to repeat what they're taught, but not to question what they're taught. So I'm getting razzled. I'm like sweating. I'm so passionate. Okay, so in today's world, which is actually now filled with constant disruption, every fucking industry is innovating. What still remains to stay the same is the education system. Isn't that interesting? Right? I'm sure some things have fucking expanded, but the fundamental way in which education is imparted upon the students remains unchanged. What people don't realize is that we're no longer living in the industrial age. We're living in the age of internet, right? The age of AI. Right, where our current education system has actually become more irrelevant than ever. But go on, learn your recorder. I'm sure your recorder is good for motor skills. I don't know. Okay, why am I sharing this? Obviously, I'm not here to try and like restructure the friggin' school system. I'm just here to spread awareness, first and foremost, that the aim of public education is not to spread enlightenment. It's actually to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safety level, right? To breed this standard living of this standard level of a human, right? To suppress, right? Public education does not encourage critical thinking. It doesn't foster imagination. It does not teach emotional intelligence. It does not teach you taxes. It does not teach you entrepreneurship. right? It does not seek out to understand someone's skills, someone's natural abilities. It just gives you fucking tasks and says, study this, test on Friday. Right? Most of you here are in a leadership position one way or another, whether you're a parent guiding your kids, whether you're a coach, whether you're an employer, manager, team leader, entrepreneur, sports teams, right? Teachers, traders, or maybe you're just wanting to learn how to lead yourself, because quite frankly, you can't be a leader of others until you make an example of yourself first. So whatever your role is, if you're currently in a leadership position or thinking about moving into one, there's a question I want you to consider. And this question goes for your kids. Like I said, just because I say leader, I'm not talking about just business owner or anything like that. It's anything. Little people, if you're a parent, you've got little people following you, okay? So that's the blanket title I'm using, is just leader. The question I want to propose to you, I'll catch up in the chat. If I miss any questions, just please re-ask me at the end, okay? My question I want to ask you is, why should people allow themselves to be influenced by you? That's a heavy hitter. Why should people allow themselves to be influenced by you? Write that down, come back to it after the call. Right? I'm a really big advocate for asking the right questions. And anyone that I have coached knows that I love asking questions. Anyone who's taken my courses knows that I value the right questions. Okay, because good questions have this cool way of just forcing reevaluation. Right? Good questions mandate good reflection. So as a leader, you need to be constantly reflecting and evaluating things. Okay, and if you avoid questions and you don't ask good questions, then you risk the whole thing about sidestepping good reflection. Okay, because in the position of leadership, you have to think for yourself, not thinking of yourself. Okay, you have to think for yourself, because you have to make fucking decisions, right? So I guess independent thinking is what I'm talking about, which is actually really hard to do because we live in a world where the mainstream, we're not raised in a system that supports that. Okay, so my next question to you is, what does it mean to pursue your potential? I see some people writing, some people not, some people staring off into the sky, and that's so fine. But I want you to consider these questions. What does it mean to pursue your potential? For me, it means to learn with deliberate purpose. To learn with deliberate purpose. Now, when I think of a successful person, I think of a successful person as a true motherfucker who just sets this crystal clear vision for their future and they go to fucking war with it, right? And they pay no attention to what anyone says, haters, doubters, none of those. Okay, they go to war for their vision with this unbreakable resolve. When you hear the word leader, are you able to send the questions to the Discord? Oh yeah. I will post them in the Discord. When you hear the word leader, what comes to mind? Drop that in the chat. Chitty chat chat. Hitler. Oh shit. Let's learn a new way of leadership. Influencer. Oh, okay. Trailblazer. Yeah, girl. Someone who leads by example, the standard, impact, someone guiding you without giving orders. Love that. Listener, leads by example, someone I look up to, impact. Leads by example. Okay, cool. Now, for me, respectful, authentic embodiment. I like it. So with social media, the word leader has kind of lost its meaning, right? We've seen a rise of people claiming the title without owning the responsibility that comes with it. And that's actually not just in social media. I don't know why I said that, but it's just social media is just in your face all day, fucking every day. A way paver. That's cool. I've never heard that before, right? There are a lot of leaders out there that are actually more devoted to their ego than their vision and their movement. Okay. And what this can actually look like is someone reacting or not responding to people who have different opinions than you, right? This shows up when you value the truth, but only when it's beneficial to you, right? So in order to be successful, like let's say, for example, you want to start a podcast. This is the only thing that's coming to my mind because this is me. Say you want to start a podcast, but you're avoiding seeing how you're holding yourself back. Fear of failure, no one listening, bombing out, right? So instead, you remain in a state of inaction. You blame the graphic designer who botched your logo, right? The music producer who hasn't got the intro or the outro quite how you like it, right? Can't decide on the perfect fucking microphone, right? All of this resulting in you not starting the fucking podcast. Super rough example, only one that came to mind. Right? But in order for you to be successful, to be the leader of your own life, of your business, you've got to see, you've really got to see the ways that you've been showing up for the good and the bad, right? Because if you can't lead yourself into action, then you have no right wearing this title or even dreaming of it. Okay, so story time. When I first started out in the entrepreneurial arena, it was 2012, right? I had some great successes, top female salesperson in my company. A few years went on. I started many ventures along the way, found trading in 2015, studied my absolute ass off whilst also working full time. Started mentoring in 2017. Okay, became a funded trader 3 times over and remain funded. Do withdrawal over the past 4 years, right? I've achieved a lot. I've made a fuck ton of money. I went into money coaching because I was sick and tired of seeing people be fuckwits with their money, right? Got married to an epic human last year. Now we're here 11 years on. No, it's 12 years on and 13 years on. I can't math. 2012. Yeah, anyway, 13 years on, whatever. Right now, when I entered the coaching world, I had a 7-figure mentor, right? And she would ask me, what makes you unique? What makes you different? Who else has been asked that question just in the chat? Put a 1 if you've been asked that question. What makes you different? What makes you unique? Probably all of you. Okay, yeah, all of you. I always struggled to answer this because I always came back to, well, I'm a trader who works in finance. So if anyone's more equipped to help people with money and trading, then it's me. Okay, but when you get asked these questions of what makes you different, what makes you unique, for me, it's just another way of someone asking you, why would someone choose you? Why would someone choose you? And I don't know about you, but it's a question that can actually challenge your self-worth if you're not solid in it, especially if you're navigating the realm of leadership and entrepreneurship. Okay, and no matter how it's worded, the question often requires you to find an answer that's outside of yourself, right? So I would say, I'm a trader, overcame student loan debt, credit card debt, who became a multiple 6-figure trader. Now I've got over 500 students, 7 figures, blah, 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 blah. Right? What I realized was it was always a struggle to answer this question because all of those things that I've done, they aren't who I am or who I be. Right? What makes me unique, what makes you unique isn't actually your accomplishments, right? It's not my epic money spreadsheets or my courses, anything like that, right? All of these things are outside of me. It's not my tattoos. It's not my worldview. It's not my fucking hair. It's not my bank balance. It's not that we donate money to charities, right? What makes me unique is my values. And this, when I say what makes me, this is also what makes you. Right? So what makes you unique, what makes me unique is our values, it's our gifts, it's our voice, it's your heart, it's your wisdom, it's your mind, it's your experience, it's your story, right? It's your abilities, it's your skills. All of that is what makes you unique. This is why looking outside of yourself at all your accomplishments, right? All these external solutions aren't going to help you answer that question. These external solutions that you offer don't actually differentiate you from others. Anyone can go and do a breast certificate. Anyone can go and study financial planning. Anyone can go and do this. Anyone can be that. It's who you be, okay? It's what you stand for. And it's the playing small, it's the obeying, it's the conforming, it's the complying, it's the bending backwards to meet other people's expectations of you. It's the cowering to society to blend in and fit in, to bite your tongue on matters of the world that actually require you to use your voice. It's you holding your truth back. It's you playing it safe. All of this shit is you diluting who you are. So I ask you, where are you diluting your truth? Where are you not being who you're meant to be? Where are you not using your voice when it's required, and why? I love that Jesse Jorgensen is on here. Jesse has known me for like my lifetime. And when I saw you register, I just loved it. Love you so much. So where are you diluting your truth? Right? Society wants you to be diluted, but to be a leader, to have personal success, right? You've got to stop watering yourself down. Drop in the chat for me. What do you define success as? What do you define success as? Happiness, freedom, happiness. Freedom and fulfillment, personal growth, freedom. Sharing my life with the people I love, freedom, content, fulfilled, freedom, satisfaction. Achieving the life that I want to live, fulfillment. Right? Success to me means wholeheartedly dedicating myself to continuously exploring and realizing my potential. Right? Success is the result of turning your desired visions and your goals into reality. Right? The dictionary success fucking definition is attaining wealth, prosperity, fame. Okay, but I think you can all agree with me. Some people spend their entire lives wondering how to be successful and never fucking figuring it out. They're always trying. Right? The only person that can answer that, you know, how do you define success in life? The only person who can answer that is you. I'm not able to, nor am I willing to prescribe the ultimate definition of that, because it's not possible. Right? There is not a definition that can exist that's suitable for all. So it's really important that you prescribe to your own definition. Right? Some might see success as having luxury cars, really big houses. Right? Some, it's just like absolutely financial independence. They can go wherever they want, when they want, with who they want. Others, it's joy and happiness with their family. It's important you define this in your own words. Right? In my opinion, after making lots of money, being able to have all the things, success isn't any of those things. Right? So the true meaning of success for me goes far beyond the common definitions of success. You know, having lots of money, being wealthy, having all the tangibles, right? It's quite opposite, right? True success for me is within the work I do and the lives that I'm able to impact, right? Whether that's helping people learn a skill set like trading, teaching them how to invest, right? Helping someone get out of crippling debt, right? Helping someone negotiate a pay rise at work, right? Having couples thrive financially, right? The amount of women that have learned to trade and been able to leave abusive relationships. Hectic, right? That's the shit that lets me put my head on my pillow at night and sleep fucking peacefully. right? This is the meaning of success. It's not the fucking trophies that everyone's collecting. So it's not a one size fits all concept. It's deeply personal and it's such a subjective experience, right? So how does this tie into leadership, right? I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. I just want you to think about this. I want you to think about the work you're doing now. Some of you may love what you do. Some of you may not. I want you to fast forward your life to retirement age. If you keep doing what you're doing, what will your life be like? I want you to sit in that for a moment. If you keep doing what you're doing, and that doing could be nothing. Maybe you're not taking the action you need to. So where does that put you? I want you to sit in that. And then once you've anchored into that feeling, I want you to pop into the chat. Some of you are smiling. Some of you look like you're about to jump off a bridge. Where are you at? What came up for you? Healthy but broke. I didn't enjoy that at all. I don't want that to be my reality. Oh, I love what I do. I'm gonna be the top of the world. Fuck yeah. I do not want to be in this position when I'm at a retirement age. Misery, miserable. I want to work harder. I felt sick and I need to raise my standards. Jessie, you're the queen of fucking standards recently. Like since retreat. Do it. Don't be pussy. Having been there and done that, I now know what I can do. Tony, put in the chat for me if you're, I know you're willing, you're like the most willing human I've ever met. How old are you, Tony? Respectfully, you are our elder. How old are you? 72. You know why I love Tony, guys? He's 72 and still a fucking student. He is so willing to learn. You guys should read the weekly emails I get from Tony. I actually need to reply to you. My bad. I'll unlock the Zoom room. Your pass has been granted. King Energy Tony. Facts. Tony is one of my absolute favorite humans. The way he shows up in different courses and different programs is more than anyone. And he's 72. In fucking sane. Okay, so some of you didn't like that. Some of you did not like what you saw, what you felt. Right? When we think about the pursuit of our potential, about success, there's three things that go hand in hand. And I'm going to bring up this. Well, I'm not going to bring it up. I'm going to read it from my phone. And we're going to listen to this carefully. Right? A man came upon a construction site where 3 people were working. He asked the first, "What are you doing?" And the man replied, "I'm laying bricks." He asked the second guy, "What are you doing?" And the man replied, "I'm building a wall." As he approached the third, he heard him humming a little song. And he asked, "What are you doing?" And the man stood up, looked up the sky, and he said, "I'm building a cathedral." Ain't that fucking nice? Right? What this quote shows us, I don't know who wrote that. I just saw it on Instagram. And I was like, that's appropriate. What this shows us is that visionaries are the most powerful leaders, right? So a visionary is someone with a really clear future, a clear vision for the future, for what it holds, what it looks like, what it feels like, and what work is necessary to get there, right? And what they can hold on to this vision that even when the challenges come and they get fucking shit thrown at them from every angle, they can keep the end goal in sight even when they're friggin' knee deep in shit. Right? Leadership vision is powerful, and it matters if any leader wants to find success in whatever it is that you're doing, right? Because when a leader defines, when they share, and when they embody their leadership vision, it's palpable, right? It guides you every fucking day. It is the fuel for the continuous improvement of a human, of a business, of a parent, right? So in some ways, leadership, personal success, fulfillment, right? It's a mixture of realism, optimism. There's none of this fake, freaking toxic positivity, live, laugh, rainbow shit around here. I don't buy into that, but it does require optimism, determination, unshakable belief in your mission and yourself, and foundational values that you do not waver on. And in the name of Jesse, high fucking standards, right? Leaders with vision walk the talk, while people without it just fucking talk. How many times have you said you're going to do something lately and you still haven't? It's this discrepancy of action that makes all the difference, right? So this vision is a clear mental picture of what could be, right? And then it's fueled by the conviction that it should be. So without this life vision, you're going to feel purposeless. You're going to feel aimless. You're going to feel unmotivated because you have no fucking idea why you exist. Do you really think you're put on this earth to just show up to a fucking job, pay your bills, and have a bit of fun? You have a bigger mission than this. And when you don't understand that, or you don't sit in contemplation for that, that's when the what do I do with my life comes up. What am I meant to do with my time here? These are the questions that come up. If you want to change your life, vision is the thing that leads to extreme transformation, and then you reverse engineer it. Example, think of organizations like Apple, Google, Amazon, right? The founders of these companies are all visionaries. These are the pioneers, right? The greater the change that needs to happen, the clearer the vision must be. Okay, vision is what creates buy-in, opt-in, right? John C. Maxwell, leadership king. People buy into a leader before they buy into a vision. People buy into vision after the leader buys into it, right? So creating this vision for your life can actually feel fucking daunting sometimes because you're always stuck in the, oh, that just seems too big. How is this going to happen? Right? But you've also got to remember that it's going to mature over time. And as you develop your vision, you can have your end goal there, whatever that is. Okay. I believe in staying flexible with it. We're stubborn on our vision, but we're flexible on the details. Stubborn on the vision, flexible on the details. That is what Jeff Bezos said when he was describing why Amazon has been so successful, right? You figure out the why that drives you and you don't ever fucking budge on it. But you've got to understand that your vision is going to grow over time. And that's where it comes into the whole having a vision for what you want is not enough, because vision without execution is what? It's hallucination. I think the light bulb guy said that. Excuse my ignorance there. Thomas Edison, maybe? Okay. So the first thing we must realize is that our vision will never become a reality if we're too fucking passive. Right? If we just sit back and wait. You think all the manifestation in the world is going to work if you actually don't take action? No. So my question to you then is, write this down. What is the vision for your life? And how are you living out that vision? Because as long as you're still fucking breathing, you have time. Tony is a perfect example of that. He is not slowing down. Right? Let's use my business as an example. When I first started trading, I actually got into trading because I did a life assessment. I did a value assessment. Okay. And if you've never, I do them all the time with my crew. So if you've never done that and you want to feel why you're feeling a bit fucking yuck in life, just DM me after this call and I'll hook you up tomorrow. Okay. But what I figured out was actually what was important to me. Okay. My values were freedom, financial independence, clean money, meaning how I made it was clean, location independence, right? I knew that I didn't want to work for anyone. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm a pretty shitty employee. Like I grew up in a household watching my parents build their business. So being an entrepreneur, it's literally in my DNA. Nothing wrong with employee. I said it on a post last week, but it's just not for me. And I understood that. Okay. So over the years, studying psych, metadynamics, thought mechanics, sales, marketing, beauty therapy, whatever, I have always explored my interests. There's like a running joke that the girls say in our Voxer chat, SJ, what haven't you done? And I've done so much because I'm just like, I like this. I'm going to look into it. I don't settle. Okay. I've always explored my interests. I wanted to do something. I did it. I then became a business developer for Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street, right? Got fucked over, found trading, started learning, got really good, started mentoring, built a business, right? Over 500 students later, I saw a gap in the market. Right? What I saw was people wanting to make 6 figures trading, had never probably seen 5 in their bank account, right? They've only ever been an employee their whole lives, which is the system that's taught, right? So I filled that gap. Okay. So Trade House Australia, it has the best reputation for building the baddest fucking traders out there, cult-like reputation. Okay. So when I think of the future of the world, AI, whatever, how to stay relevant in our industries, it's always about acquiring and requiring new skills. I rang my dad on the weekend to discuss an idea of going back to uni and studying a Bachelor of Business and Financial Planning. And I was originally looking around for a course to do, thinking it would take like 6 months or so. No, I have to do a full-on fucking degree. I got humbled. Here's me with my little microwave mentality, right? Full-time fucking 3 years bridging course to get in, whatever. I ran it by my dad and he said to me, and this question, I swear to God, almost ran me into a fucking ditch. I was driving. He goes, Sarah, do you want to be an influencer or do you want to be a trusted advisor? And I was like, bruh. Right? That question, do you want to be an influencer or do you want to be a trusted advisor? Yeah, that was a fucking heavy hitter question from my dad. I'm like, how do you even know what an influencer is? You're 82. I'm like, how do you know that? And I said, look, all I want to be is the best. I want to be credible. I want to be licensed. I want to be of service to my clients in the best way so that they can make the most empowered decisions for their financial futures. It's not to just tick a box and say, I am this, here's another certificate. And he laughed and he replied with, he's like, well, there's your answer. And I called him back. Yeah, Papa Plump is full of the blue wolves, I swear. I called him back an hour later and I said, Dad, I want to be both. I want to be an influencer and I want to be an advisor, because a financial advisor is supposed to be an influencer, because my role then soon when I am that, right, is to influence others to make better decisions than what they otherwise would have made. Right. So in order to become a more effective advisor, the ongoing development of the skills that are required to deliver this influential advice should be deliberately developed, right? And we had this good old chat. And my dad laughed. He's like, you've got it. And I'm like, thank you. Now, my dad, is one of the most successful men I know, built his business from the ground up. He's an engineer. He is my trusted advisor. He is my mentor, right? The vision he had for his company, from literally starting out in our lounge room with a single photocopier to now being a top trainer in his field. He's constantly learning. He's constantly staying up to date. He's so current. We're thinking about the future of mining, the future of electricity, right? He's 82, I don't know. And he was working like a demon, right? Nothing is going to stop this man, right? I was talking to Chippy, like I just said before, I was trying to look for a 6-month course. And Chippy reflected back to me about how I was originally looking for a 6-month course that then turned into a 4-year degree. right? And how willing I am to do that because of the vision for my company, right? I did have stories play out. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to make time for this? Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go get a job under an advisor. Like, what are people going to think of me? All the things came up. But when you have unwavering belief in yourself, your vision, your mission, none of that shit actually fucking matters, right? If I want to continue being a leader in my space, and I must be continuously evolving and learning. Okay. And I wholeheartedly believe that there is a really big difference between influencership and leadership, right? Once again, not just speaking about social media influencers. Okay. If you're a parent, boss, etc., you're in a position of influence. Okay. So all leaders are influencers, but not all influencers are leaders. Both can influence, but leaders are motivated by their vision and their purpose with the intention of service, whereas influencers are motivated by their ego and what serves them. Okay, so we must be really careful of this because of social media, right? We're living in this era of influencers where most value image over integrity. They value followers over community, right? They value perception over genuine connection. And if you don't know yourself well enough, and if you don't have a healthy relationship with social media, that's going to have you chasing a version of success that's not yours, right? It'll have you believing things you shouldn't, following people you shouldn't. It can make you lose sight of what's actually meaningful. Because what people have done is they've gotten caught up in this fucking popularity contest because of their unmet needs to feel love, accepted, significance, approval, validation, all from the outside world, right? Influencership isn't about who you're being. It's how you position yourself to how you control how you're seen and perceived. Okay, but one thing I have noticed, and hence the name of this masterclass, is there is a shift, right? And it's called LeaderSHIFT. Just making shit up. Right? Humanity is seeking genuine leaders, ones who walk the talk, ones who have vision, right? Ones who have mission, ones who have a mission to leave the world better than they fucking came into it. So my question here is, if you want to be a true leader, if you want to be a true leader, one that leads with integrity, one of service, one who's a good role model for your kids, I want to know why. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to be that? I have the hiccups. I ask why because I need to make one thing really clear. Your intention must be clean. It must be clear, right? Nothing about this call is actually going to change your life. You may have a few things highlighted to you, a few things to fucking ponder on, right? But only you are able to create that change. And that begins the moment you accept the responsibility of who you are, who you're being, what you're doing, and why. Which means you've got to own your shit. Why do you desire to be a leader? Is your desire to be a leader because you genuinely love people and you want to create an amazing impact? Or is it just because you want to be your own boss? Right? Or maybe it's actually a desire for significance. Okay, I felt this way in the past. It's why we work our ass off. It's why we want to be the best. It's why we study this course to get that. It's why we work with this coach, right? That may not be that may not be the case, but I'm just throwing every angle at you so you can make sure that you're living your life by your design and not someone else's. Okay, because if you're like, let's just play with the significance thing, right? Is your desire to be a leader for significance? Is it to feel important? Is it to feel love? Is it to feel accepted? Is it to feel like you belong? Is it to feel like you matter? I want you to consider all the things you do to establish your expertise in what it is that you do, right? Why do you share the things you don't share? Why do you speak to the things that you speak to or don't? What do you avoid speaking about? Why are your goals your goals? Right? If this makes sense and feels true for you, I don't know, because at some level, at some point in our journey, maybe not you, but there's certainly people out there that are seeking some level of significance to compensate for lack of acceptance in their real life, right? But very few people are willing to do the inner work and the work required to look at their shit, right? To accept that their actions and how they choose to show up, what they choose to speak about, can actually be influenced by their desire for significance. So get really fucking clear on that. And this brings me to something I wasn't going to talk about, because I'm like, might ruffle too many feathers, but then I'm like, who am I to preach? What am I not speaking up to if I don't speak to this? So 2020, crazy fucking year. So much uncertainty. What we needed then was more people speaking up. People were looking for someone to follow. Where were you? Were you keeping quiet? Maybe you didn't know what to believe. Right? But how did you contribute to that? Did you put your head in the sand? Maybe you were scared. Pretty sure we all were. Maybe you're not really sure what you could have said. But also to that, I think if you're in the space of entrepreneurship, management, coaching, parents, what this call is about, you know what to say, right? Or you would know what to say if you sat with yourself for a quick fucking minute and didn't turn a blind eye. Follow the masses. That's fine. Right? Maybe you weren't ready to speak up because you didn't understand enough and you didn't want to just regurgitate information, because that's also just as harmful when you're not speaking and seeking the truth. Okay, but also to that, did you take the time to sort through the information and use your discernment to uncover the truth? If not, then you got to give yourself permission to do that next time. Right? Maybe you're a coach, maybe your mentor said to you, don't post about politics online. Don't speak about vaccines online. Don't speak about this. Stay out of that. A lot of leaders don't want to share their thoughts and perceptions of worldly things. Why? Because when you do, it opens the door to judgment. Right? It opens the door to people leaving your audience, to people disagreeing with you, and you not being able to hold that. Right? It opens the door to people not wanting to do business with you, to not be friends with you, to be fucking cancelled, to be shamed, right? It opens the door to rejection. And this is a really huge thing, because the reason I'm bringing this up is because that's not leadership. If you're a coach and you make money online and you didn't speak up to this shit that actually matters when you actually believed it, that's not leadership. That is you worrying about your bottom line. That is you worried about your bottom line. A true leader is not worried about that. You can have those thoughts and you can have these opinions, but if you choose to not speak up when shit gets heated, or you say some fucking shit like it's low vibration, it's low frequency, I don't entertain these things, grow up, because that's also not leadership. Right? If you're more focused on your bottom line than you are taking a stand for what you believe in, then you're not leading, you're performing. Right? And right now, the leadership space is full of fucking puppets. It's full of performers. Obviously, I'm saying this with love. I'm trying to give you a backbone if you don't have one. I've got like 10 spines. I'll give you one. My back. Right? So call yourself a whatever. Call yourself a coach, but don't call yourself a leader. Right? Over the years, I've shared my truth at the risk of being rejected, being unfollowed, being cancelled, whatever. Your truth, you may have a different opinion than mine right now. That's okay. But what's not okay is holding back due to the reasons I've already mentioned. It's not okay to share false truths. It's not okay to manipulate your truth in order to maintain your image. Right? It's not okay to dilute yourself, right? The ability to actually remain curious and remain observant during times of extreme polarity is what people need to practice, right? When you're following someone and you look up to them and you admire them and you're inspired by them, it can feel really fucking disappointing when they don't show up for you in the ways that you expect them to. right? So that's just something to really consider there. This isn't about calling people out. It's actually about calling people in, right? Everyone's so quick to dismiss, to cancel, right? But it takes immense inner work to actually step back, observe, and learn to respond and not just react, right? It's so easy to just call people out, to shame others for not thinking the way that you do or doing the things that you do. Okay, it's so easy to place yourself on a pedestal and position yourself as I'm better than, right? That's reactive leadership. But when you actually take the time to question out of curiosity, to educate, to inform, all without shame, all without the calling out behavior, that's when we can actually bridge the divide, right? We seek to understand. I live by that. Something else at the retreat, all the girls kept saying, I ask good questions. I'm fucking nosy. If I want to know something, I literally ask. Right? When we say, hey, I notice you do that a lot. What drives that? Or I noticed you do this. Can you tell me a little more? If you want to know something, ask, look it up, fucking Google it. Right? But when we do this, we actually create space for conscious conversations. And then we can take part in dialogue that feels open to call people in. This is leadership. Okay. And this is the type of leadership that requires patience, compassion, love, right? That's the shit that's missing in leadership. And this is the work I do with my crew, right? So next time you feel tempted to just call someone out, take a step back and see it as an observation to observe yourself for why you feel the need to call them out, right? Let's seek to understand, not judge, right? So the really important point I'm trying to make here is that if you're showing up in your life in some kind of filtered way, right? Whether you're trying to control how you've been perceived, whether you're watering yourself down to your friends, to your family, whether you're biting your tongue on important matters, whether you're not standing up for yourself and speaking up for yourself for what you believe in, all of these masks that you keep are just keeping you from being seen. They're keeping you from being loved. They're keeping you from being accepted, which is the things that you want, right? But in order for you to be seen by others, you first got to fucking see yourself. Right? Leaders need courage to make decisions that others won't. Right? Leaders need courage to stand on principle when non-leaders will sacrifice those principles in order to compromise. Right? Leaders need courage to do what's right, not just what's popular. Right? They take risks. Right? And here's an interesting thought, right? Those who have the courage to take risks and those who don't actually experience the same amount of fear. It's just that the leader understands that courage is not the lack of fear. It's in doing what they're afraid to do. It is what they're afraid to do. Right? Everyone experiences shit. Everyone is held back from shit from time to time. But leaders just find a way to overcome that fear and move forward. Right? So if you ever feel fear, then it's likely you've retreated. So if you've never felt fear, you're probably so fucking deep in your comfort zone, you've stopped growing. That almost means that you've stopped leading. More importantly, yourself. Right? When was the last time you took a risk? When was the last time you did something actually fucking scary? Right? When was the last time you felt fear from doing something new and something challenging where your heart was fucking racing? What did you do? Did you move towards it or did you find a way to avoid it? You know that song where it's like, can't go under it, gotta go over it, gotta go through it, whatever that is. That's how I think about this shit. You can't go around it. You can't go under it. You can't go over it. You got to fucking go through it. Going on a bear hunt. That's it. That's so funny. It's hilarious. That's popped into my brain. Right? If I was hiring for a leadership position, right, one of the questions I would ask is, can you give me a recent example of where you took action that required real courage? That's what I would ask. Right? Because courage, that is the thing that allows you to make tough decisions. Right? It's the courage to say no when no needs to be fucking said. Maybe you're a pushover. Maybe you're a fucking doormat. There's a few I'm looking you dead in the soul right now because you don't say no. It takes courage, right? Courage is the thing that allows you to take calculated risks. It allows you to stand alone when no one around you believes the same thing, right? But there's this area of leadership that requires true courage, and it's always overlooked. It's the courage to say something when something needs to be said, which is what I've been talking about. It's the courage to have uncomfortable conversations with the people you're around, the people you lead, the people you love. It's the courage to tell the truth when it's fucking inconvenient. It's the courage to be honest. It's the courage to have hard conversations. These hiccups are rolling me. It's the courage to have hard conversations with your parents, your partners, your kids, your workmates, your clients, your friends, right? I've been very fortunate to have had mentors that have had the courage to tell me the truth about my performance. I've also had coaches who didn't. I wouldn't be where I am if I had stuck with the ones who didn't, right? There was stuff I certainly did not want to hear, but hearing it helped me grow. And if you're someone who, whenever someone gives you feedback, you've got a solution for every fucking problem. Sorry, you've got a problem for every solution. If that's you, shush. Shush. If you have a problem for every solution that someone's giving you, that's something to look at. Stop being a know-it-all. Right? I bet my mentors, my coaches didn't want to have these conversations, but they stepped up. I bet you they were uncomfortable, but they did it for my better good. Right? So it's even important for a leader to initiate, difficult conversations, but it's also vital that a leader can also engage in difficult conversations when they are initiated by someone else. That's equally as important, right? And when you have these conversations, you've also got to check your fucking tone of voice, because a lot of the times it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? You need to take out the I know it all and the you know nothing peaks and valleys in your voice, right? So a question for you, write this down. How am I doing as a leader? Change the word leader to parent, to wife, to husband, to manager, to student, whatever. How am I doing as blah, blah? And once you've answered that for yourself, I then want you to go to your nearest and dearest, and I want you to ask them, hey, how am I doing as this? How am I doing as a wife? How am I doing as a husband? How am I doing as a friend? How am I doing as a coach? You can ask your clients that. I could be like, hey, Dee, how am I doing as a coach? And I expect her to be honest with me. She's paying me. That would be dumb if she wasn't. Right? It's very hard. The reason I say do this, usually it's an exercise of I want you to go to write out your own strengths and weaknesses. And then I want you to go to someone who knows you really well, ideally 3 people. And then I want you to ask them, hey, can you tell me what my 3 strengths and my 3 weaknesses are? And I promise I won't get butthurt. I promise I won't say anything. If I don't understand something, I'll literally say, oh, can you give me an example of when I was like that? Right? The reason why that exercise and these 2 questions just framed in a different way is really important is because sometimes it's very hard for any of us to see ourselves in the same way others see us. Right? So when I want to know about how, the effectiveness of how I'm really doing, I'll ask someone who will give it to me straight. Indy asked me that on our one-on-one last night. Right? And if you've established trust with the people that you lead, they're going to give you an honest answer. If you haven't established trust, then fucking do that. But that also shows you where you need to tweak your leadership. Okay? Because here's the thing. People want to know that no matter how much success you have, you know your roots. They want to know that your power and your influence is, what is the word? Anchored, I think that's the word, ingrained, anchored in humility and grace, right? They want to know that the person behind the role you play as a leader is someone who's accessible, that's not fucking up high on the pedestal and you're in like the no man's land, right? People will afford you a whole lot of fucking power if they know that your ego is grounded in humility, that you refuse to get too fucking big for your boots. Like leadership, in my opinion, parenthood, all that stuff, it's a fucking privilege. Owning a business, it's a privilege. Being a manager, it's a privilege. Being a partner is a privilege. Being a friend is a privilege. So wherever you are in that role, you're actually in a unique position to make a positive difference in the lives of these people, right? Your power, your influence, if it's pointed in the right direction, can be used to lift their standards, right? Enlarge, just enforce their capabilities, show them what they're made of, help them actually realize their potential. To do yourself a favor and remember that leadership is actually not about you. It's not about you, the leader, right? It's about the growth and the development of the people that you are privileged to lead, to manage, to parent. Right? When I was promoting this masterclass, I wrote that Chippy said to me that I'm never satisfied. And even though I took it in a way that he didn't mean it, I took it in a way that was convenient for me. What was I going to say then? It was one of the most profound things that he's ever said to me, right? I wrote on that same post my definition of success, and I shared that at the beginning of the call, that to me, it wholeheartedly means dedicating myself to continuously exploring and realizing my potential, right? I'm always looking out of ways for being challenged, right? I'm always learning new skills. I'm always willing to discover new things about myself, right? I'm never satisfied, and I really don't think you guys should be either, because we can probably all be doing a lot better in our roles, right? Am I saying you have to be on 100% of the time? Absolutely not. Am I saying have no chill time? No, I actually take my chill time just as serious as my productivity time. I'm like professional chiller sometimes. No shame in that. Taking a week off, see ya. Literally what I do. I'm not in the Discord, see ya. Right? I've earned that. I've been freaking earning my freaking badges for the last fucking 12 years. Okay. Now I can't say if never being satisfied is a good or a bad thing, because it depends on the person that you are and the definition that fulfills you. Right. But for me, it's always going to be this continuous battle between relentless ambition and balance. I really don't think that if you're a high achiever, can we just stop aiming for balance? You're probably never going to get it. Let's be honest, you're not. You'll get a version of that, but stop going, I'm just trying to find the perfect balance. You're not going to get it. If you want balance, go work a job where you can clock off at fucking 5 and you can do what you want at night. But if you're a high achiever, you're not going to get it. Right? So whether it's like, what I really love doing is just like, is the continuous progression, right? And I just love exploring that path, that whenever I take that next step, something new is going to be shown to me. I don't like, the way I like to describe this is, say you're driving at nighttime. Exactly. You're not going to turn off. Say you're driving at nighttime. Okay. And you're driving in an unfamiliar area. You got your headlights on, right? You've got your destination in your maps. So here to fucking wherever, 60 Ks away, I don't know. And as you're driving, as your lights shine, the rest of the way gets shown to you, right? But because you've got your destination, you don't trust that you're not going to get there, because you will. You're being guided. You know the steps. The maps is the step. But you don't know the path. You don't know what you're going to come into. You don't know if there's going to be an accident, freaking gigantic pothole or whatever that's just like fell to the fucking core of the earth and now you can't go. Like, I don't know. You know, that's just a hurdle, right? But do you guys understand the analogy, or am I butchering this? Am I butchering it? Everyone's shaking their head being like, you're butchering it. I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, we're good. We're on the same path. That's how you got to think about your vision. That's how you've got to think about the path and the exploration of your life, that you don't have to know all the how. You don't have to know all the steps. You just got to know that if I've got this vision and I've got my fucking headlights on, and I've got my maps, I'm going to get there. Right? Even things like, it's all about your attitude as well. Like even things like normal tasks like washing. I choose to tackle it with the best attitude possible. It's our choice. Our attitude is actually our choice. Think about that. Our attitude is our choice. And it's our choice to be happy. It's our choice to be whatever, right? If you're genuinely not satisfied, then make a change and take action. Stop complaining about things you're not willing to change, right? When was the last time you said, oh, that's good enough? You washed your car and you got didn't get all the bugs off. Oh, that's good enough. Right? Cleaning your car, work project, average workout, ran, I don't know, we're all running at the moment, our little running club that's on here. You ran 5Ks instead of 8, which 8 was your last base time, but you're just like, oh, I'm so tired. It was good enough. Right? I need you to get into your heads that good enough is not enough in the name of leadership. Right? My goal is actually to find the joy in the struggle and in the success. Find the joy in the struggle and the success. Okay, because when you want to think about it, success is actually the enabler of our potential, because as we strive for success, we discover and we activate our potential, because by doing that, we create a clear image of what success is for you and what reaching your potential looks like, right? Success has absolutely nothing to do with what others think of you, right? Or measuring your achievements against theirs, right? That's a fucking fool's game. And it's a fool's game for 2 reasons, okay? Firstly, they're not you. What's important in your life and brings your strengths to the front is unlikely going to be the same as someone else's. But looking to others for acknowledgement through statements like, oh, I've done this, I beat you, right? You're tying yourself and your success to someone else's affirmations. You don't need to do that. Sure, you can look to see what others are doing as like a benchmark for achievement, right? But to step beyond that and compete against someone truly worthy, and that's just who you were yesterday. It's you, right? Because you actually don't win by watching someone else. Think about horses when they race. They've got their little blinders on. That's how I think about my shit. Horse doesn't win when he's like fucking swinging his 2-meter long neck to the left, looking at where everyone else is. Right? If you want to compete against someone, compete against yourself, because your purpose, your vision, your legacy is yours to fill. Right? The goal is the goal is the path. I say this to my traders all the time. Be process orientated, not outcome focused. Right? The outcome, the money, all that stuff, that's just a byproduct of you doing what you need to do and being who you need to be. Okay, so on the pursuit of personal success, of the potential, of the leadership, there's a few hard, humble truths that you must accept along the way. And I share these lessons from someone who over the years has had incredible business success, but there were still areas of my life where I was leaving my potential on the table. Right? And that's where the questions I was continuously asking was, where am I doing good? Where can I be better? Where am I half-assing some shit? Right? I need you to understand that you're actually not that special and your problems are not that unique. I know it's like, sounds really mean to say, but they're not, right? We all feel like giving up. We all feel fucking tired. The moment you quit feeling as though you're the only one who has ever felt that, like you're the only one who's ever wanted to give up, and accept that that's actually fucking normal, the needle moves. Right? Your mind finds it's easier to keep going when it's shown factual evidence that supports this reality, right? It's normal. Business is hard. Trading is hard. Being a parent is hard. Being a partner is hard. Leading is hard. But what's the alternative? Being fat is fucking hard. Being unhealthy is hard. Being broke is hard. Being fucking, I don't know, whatever is hard. So choose your hard. Yet most people are caught up in their own struggles. They're not noticing yours. Right? I need you to choose your hard. I say this to traders all the time. Holy fuck, trading's hard. Like, wow. Okay, like yes, trading's hard, but so is being broke. But what an honor it is for trading to be hard, that building business to be hard. I've got motherfuckers in Africa that have to walk 6 or so plus hours to internet cafes. Their power goes off 4 times a day. That's mental. That to me is just nuts. Right? It's so easy to delude yourself and think that everyone is taking front row fucking seats in the audience of your life, watching your every move and listening to your every word. Some people like to live that way. That's fine. They like to pretend their life is fucking, and actually, Dij actually said this once. She's like, pretend your life is like MTV is watching you and you'll fucking move. Right? You won't be a lazy fucker. But if you had a camera set up in your house, watching what you do, what you eat, are you proud of it? If not, then clean that shit up. Right? It's difficult to be a human. It is. Right? Because when you were born, you signed this unofficial, invisible fucking agreement with life that guarantees you're going to experience struggle. This is what you signed up for. Why is it a surprise? When shit hits the fan, why is it a surprise? You signed up for this. Your attitude determines how you handle it. Right? I say it to my guys all the time, and this is not unique to me. I didn't make this up, but it's like, if you can't change something, then change your attitude towards it. Right? I mentioned a million times tonight, the way I define a successful person is someone who has this crystal clear vision for their future, and they go to war with it. Right? Another truth, we're almost done. Everyone has an opinion. It doesn't make it right. Right? People will tell you what you can't do, but they'll rarely tell you what you can do. Right? And an opinion is based on someone else's experience of the world, and that may not be yours. Right? And that experience doesn't have to be yours. But what you experience is based on your opinion that you form in your mind, from the evidence that the world is presenting you, gained from your own life experiences. Okay, it's so nice to get someone's opinion on something. It's so nice to get someone's feedback or something, but just don't get held back by it. Right? If you had a fat doctor, are you going to take weight loss advice from him? Are you going to take investing advice from your broke fucking friend? Are you going to take relationship advice from the person, your friend who's in the most fucking toxic relationships ever, who's always bitching about their partner? Probably not. Right? We see this all the time in social media. Mentors are saying, do this, do that. You know, you gotta make reels to show yourself more. Right? I built my business online. I've closed over $1 million in sales. I have multiple 6-figure trading accounts. I've made like 10 fucking reels in my life. Right? Am I wrong? No. Are they wrong? No. Does it matter? No. It's just an opinion. Right? And the last truth is, there's a saying that says your comfort zone is the killer of all your dreams. Some shit. I butchered that. I don't know. I don't know what that exact quote is. But whenever I felt yuck in my life, it's because I've been a little bit too comfortable. Right? Because comfort numbs pain. Discomfort allows you to grow beyond pain. Okay. And it's okay if you experience comfort at some level, right? You want a comfy bed, you want this, you want that, but only seeking comfort and avoiding discomfort is going to be the thing that's going to cock block you. Right? Uncomfortable situations, what they do is they force you to grow. Right? And that's how you then grow beyond your current level of pain. Okay. Unlocking your potential, guys, it fucking takes time. People give shit a go for 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Right? I want you to do a time audit. Had my guys do a time audit a couple months back. Throwing away time is so easy to do, and we're all guilty of it. But how much of your time have you wasted not living up to your potential? The answer is probably fucking brutal. Where are you spending your time? You've probably wasted a whole heap of your time. But like I said before, if you're still breathing, you've got time. Sometimes it hurts to know that you've been lazy, that you procrastinated, but it hurts even more to ignore the fact that you pretend everything's fucking great. Right? The truth, I need you to see that the truth is useful. I was lying to myself for years before I began to actually dissect some of my shit. Right? Being a self-leader implies owning and dissecting all of the stories you tell yourself. But not only that, it also involves questioning the narrative, right? The narrative of the world. Start questioning your beliefs. See which ones you actually believe. See which ones you actually chose. Or do you believe something so strongly and you didn't even choose it for yourself? Your parents chose it for you. Right? We got to be self-aware. We've got to be humble. Right? We've got to practice self-reflection. We need to assess how we contribute to situations. We need to commit to responding with our best self. Right? We need to understand how we affect outcomes. Your attitude, your effort. Right? We need to be responsible for cultural understanding. Right? If you want to be a leader, don't fucking wait to be told what to do. Don't expect others to solve problems for you. If you genuinely don't know a solution to something, open your mouth and ask. Don't expect people to be mind readers that you need help and you're suffering in silence. My motto with my traders is silence is violence. I don't know you need help unless you ask. Right? Be accountable. Own your attitude. Own your effort or lack of. Right? Own your mistakes. Get over the blaming, the shaming. Right? The very best leaders, they lead themselves by example. Right? They know that self-leadership is the thing to pursuing potential, to achieving success. Right? And when you understand who you are and you take responsibility for how you choose to show up, your attitude in how you choose to do the most mundane things, right? You will make better decisions and you will build a stronger fucking foundation for yourself. Right? So your last piece of homework is this. And you guys can send me whatever you want. You can send me the answers to these questions, whatever, right? What's my question? Is the vision you're chasing yours to begin with? Is the vision you're chasing yours to begin with? Or is it an image of what you think you need to chase in order to be perceived a certain way? So is the vision you're chasing yours to begin with? Or is it an image of what you think you need to chase in order to be perceived a certain way? Is the definition of success that you're using your definition of success? Or is it someone else's? And the last question is the person you're being today actually who you want to be? Right? Most leaders you see, they're just performers pretending to be something they're not. Their leadership is built on a foundation of misalignment. Don't be that person. Now, do we have any questions? When I send the recording out, I will add these questions in the email, just so you got them. Are there any questions? Does anyone have any shares? Does anyone want to come off mute? What was question 2 in that series of questions then? Like way back, because I'm like, I don't know. I'll have to read the transcript to get my question because I can never remember what I said. But the question was, is the vision you're chasing even yours to begin with, or is it an image that you think you need to chase in order to be perceived in a certain way? Or is the definition of success that you're defining or using, is it yours or someone else's? Is it society's? Was the second? Oh, thank you, Kiara. How are we feeling in the chat? Did you learn anything? Was this helpful? Were you like, I wasted an hour of my life? Bye, Jessie. TYVM. Cool. I'll also be in your teams later. Excellent. Hard hitting hard, so much to contemplate. Question, reverse engineering, how? So once you've got your vision, you then work out what are the steps needed to take to get there. Heaps to think about. Amazing. Epic, guys. I want to see you all in my DMs. Send me takeaways, whatever you learned, even if it was just 2 words, whatever. Recording will be out tomorrow. If you don't get it, it's because Flow Desk is naughty. My pleasure. Thank you all for showing up. I appreciate you all so much. And those on the recording, same for you. I appreciate you all. Hope you're having an epic week. Hope you're going to learn some shit. Hope you're going to implement some stuff. If you have any questions, you need any clarification, my inbox is open. Appreciate you all. Have an epic night.